Guys, Dan Hendriksen here. We are at Torquay Golf Club. We've got a little review for you today. Now, there's so much talk that goes into wedges and the spin that you can get from wedges. All these sort of companies saying or marketing the fact that their wedges spin more than other wedges. But today we're going to review a wedge that does claim that they do get some serious spin from their wedges. But in order to do that, we need to bring in the head of reviews for our channel. So let's go over and have a little chat with him.
Head of reviews.
Head of reviews.
Is there a little banner? Is there a little banner down here somewhere?
It just pops up.
Okay,
yeah,
brilliant.
Just pop up. So you've got something quite special for us today.
We have, yeah. I mean, like you said, there's been a lot of talk about wedges and the development in wedges, and I think that's been the biggest advancement in golf possibly in the last 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Well, a lot of marketing on it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, does really spin make a massive difference with a wedge? Is it that important, do you think?
I think it is. I mean, I'd say a lot of people, it's for vanity, isn't it? If you hit the ball onto green and you get a little bit of backspin, oh, especially when you play a higher handicaps, they get all excited by the fact that the ball came back a little bit. It doesn't always go near the hole, or it might come back away from the hole, but they're just excited they see a little bit of spin.
Yeah, I suppose they're trying to copy kind of what the pros do.
Yeah, what they see and stuff, don't they? So
whereas actually, if you speak to a lot of the pros, they don't really want massive amount of backspin, do they?
No, they're looking to control that spin, aren't they?
Yes.
So too much spin can be a negative factor.
Yes, absolutely it can. So what have you got in your hands today?
So we've got this Smithworks Wedge.
Okay. And we're reviewing it because we've borrowed it off a member.
We have,
who's just literally just bought it.
He was enjoying it and getting decent numbers off it, and he actually visually feels like he gets more spin with this than he did on his previous wedge. So
why don't we hit some balls with it around the short game area? You can give us some sort of information on it as we go through it, but you can give us a feel on what it sort of feels like to you, whether you think it's getting more spin. I'm going to go back into the studio and hit some full shots with it to see and put it up against my brand new 54 degree SM8. What's the loft on this one?
This one's 54 with 9 degree of bounce.
Okay. Let's hit some shots, let's get some numbers and share with them what you kind of think of this wedge.
Cool.
So you've hit a few shots with it now.
Yeah.
So give me a couple of the sort of features and benefits, or give me some background information on what this club is all about so everyone knows what we're sort of talking about today.
Yeah, no problem. It was designed by a guy called Stuart Smith.
Yeah.
Obviously with the name Smithworks. I guess it came out in 2015, looking at the little logo established.
Yeah, I think that's possibly when he's established the company, yeah.
Correct, yeah. They do 2 different finishes.
Okay.
So they do a non-conforming club, and they also do a tour conforming club, which is what we're obviously testing.
We're testing the one that you would
using, because there's absolutely no point us testing the non-conforming wedge, because we'd never be able to play it.
What do you think is the point in having a non-conforming wedge?
I guess again it's back to the old vanity, isn't it? You know, impress your mates. Oh, look at the spin on that. Like,
yeah.
I also think it's a little bit, to me, a little bit dangerous them actually creating a non-conforming wedge, because people will put it in their bag and use it in competitions. I know they will, which I think then opens up a can of worms. Like, is your wedge conforming? Is it non-conforming? Why even bother making a non-conforming wedge? Because,
to be honest with you, there's no real testing going on for conforming or non-conforming wedge in our weekly Stableford, is there?
No, but
on tour there might be some more testing. But
if you suddenly play with Davies off 24. And he starts spinning the ball off the green, and you'd be like, well, what is going on? You've either had the old illegal grooves being cut, or you're using one of these Smith wedges.
So give me a little bit about, you said Stuart Smith, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stuart Smith, he used to work for TaylorMade, didn't he?
According to our little bit of research we've done, he was a TaylorMade guy. I think he was involved in, from what I heard, the burner. Yeah, the burner bubble. That was part of either his like little group or him personally. And obviously he's gone on loan now and making these wedges.
So the grooves on these, I mean, are you noticing any sort of real spin generation from this small shot? It's only, what, a 30-yard shot that we're hitting here today?
Yeah, I'd say it probably does seem to be acting
quite nicely
on the green. Yeah, it's obviously it's a strange sort of face. I mean, you've got your traditional grooves going all the way up and around onto the surface of the face, a bit like the Callaway PM grind.
All the
so
face,
it's covering all of
the
it.
Top toe there, which I kind of like.
And it's also got a load of X's all the way along, which again visually looks quite unique.
Okay. Is that what are those X's doing though?
Don't know.
Creating more friction, I suppose.
Supposed to, yeah. I mean, it's meant to be. That's the idea behind it, is to create more friction. So
and they've got a disclaimer, haven't they, in there? Where
they say that you might cut the golf balls up or mark or almost take the front layer off a golf ball.
But we're not seeing anything.
We're not seeing that. I mean, this has been used for a couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe ask the member.
We're not seeing any of the golf ball left in there, and we're using Pro V1s today. So
there's no marks.
There's no marks of that.
Although I'm probably not hitting the face very often.
Well, you're doing all right. I can see it's
I'm hitting this bit down here and this bit up here and round here.
Weight then, weight distribution, what have they done with that?
Yes, I mean they've basically taken weight from around the hosel area. And you can see those sort of three little...
well, I've seen that in TaylorMade.
TaylorMade, yeah. So they've took 2 bits of weight off here.
Yeah.
And they've also, on the back edge...
Drilled out.
They've drilled out 3 holes, but apparently that's, depending on what degree of loft you have, will determine. They're all individually done, so there's different weights for different clubs.
Okay, so they're just trying to move CG around with all the different weights.
And you'll probably notice that a lot of it's been placed further up the club,
sort of
onto the leading edge, into the top
edge there.
Yeah, so that's obviously, again, like you said, moving weight,
moving CG around.
Around the face. That does give, when you look down at it visually, does give quite a thick top line. Yeah. Which may put some people off.
Okay. Did it put you off?
Yeah.
You're not a big fan of that?
No, I like a nice. I use a bladed club or a semi-bladed club. And my wedges particularly, I want to see. I want to see a thinner line for me.
But for, you know, an average member of Torquay, let's say,
I mean, if
that's going to give them a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using a set which has got a sand wedge that comes with it, not a specialist wedge, then that's not going to be offensive. That's going to suit their eye line. It's going to be similar to a club from a set. But if you're using a specialist wedge, then that may put people off.
Yeah. You kind of like this grip, don't you?
I do, yeah. It's got a good feel to it, actually. It's similar to a Tour Velvet, what I use myself, Golf Pride. But I quite like the ridges on it. Also the X is quite cool, isn't it?
The X is quite cool, yeah.
It's similar to the grooves, you've got it on the shaft.
I like this bit down the bottom where you can get your thumb into that position. It gives you a bit of an alignment aid, doesn't it, for your hand. So I do like when companies do that, I think it's not a bad thing for helping people get their hands into the right position. You
can actually buy this grip as well. They sell the grip, which is quite good.
Which one is that one then? Is it a Golf Pride, is it?
No, it's just got Smithworks on the bottom.
Okay, so they've had it specially made.
Yeah, specially made, and it's not that expensive, to be honest, if you did want to keep the same grip, which is always a bonus.
What shaft have they got?
Shaft, it just says wedge control flex, so it's probably
similar to what?
Yes, wedge flex, isn't it?
What, S200?
I would have said so. Feels a decent shaft.
Yeah, it's a good weight. I like it.
Yeah. Any initial thoughts from it yourself?
For me, I actually think it's kind of a lot smaller in the profile when I look down at it, and it looks very rounded, and I'm not sure whether that's because of the way the grooves come up to the end of the face here, into the toe end here. But from a visual point of view, certainly down the bottom, it looks very rounded, not particularly flat like I'm kind of used to with my Vokey. I'm not sure whether that gives me much confidence, to be honest with you. It feels like it might dig in a little bit.
It reminds me of some of the original Callaway wedges. Yeah. Not the Jaws version, the one before that.
The McDaddy's.
McDaddy's. It reminds me of that, the shape of the head.
Yeah, I can't remember a great deal about those, but this is definitely feels a little bit smaller in the profile to what I'm used to feeling or seeing. But to be honest with you, as a wedge goes, it doesn't bother me too much. It feels pretty much similar to any other wedge that I've ever hit. You talked about weight, didn't you?
I feel like it's heavy for me. I don't know whether that's because the head looks like it's going to be heavy.
Yeah, maybe.
I would like to weigh it against one of my wedges, but to me it does feel heavy.
To me it doesn't feel overly heavy, but again, each to our own on that, isn't it? Okay, we've got ourselves into the bunker area now. Okay.
Shameless
product placement from you.
That uses a few few viewers.
That means we have got a few of those scrubbers left by the look of it. So this is where a lot of people want to see a little bit of spin controlled, isn't it? Into the bunker area.
Definitely, this is somewhere where you should generate a little bit of spin, shouldn't you?
One thing I've just noticed when I was walking over here is the bottom sole, so right on the bottom there, it's got some small amount of little grooves that run sort of, I suppose, what's that, from front to back?
Yeah, not noticed that before.
Not noticed that before?
No.
But again, I've seen that on the tailor-made wedges. 2 years, maybe 1 year ago, 2 year ago model. I've seen that on the tailor-made wedges.
It's also,
so again, some similarities in that.
It's also got the bottom of the soles, parts of it moved off, and it's
ground off the back edge.
It's almost like rounded at the bottom.
Yeah, if you compare it to Vokey, it would be like their M grind or D grind or something like that, where you've got a little bit of taken off the back edge there. So a little bit of heel and toe relief, and certainly back edge relief. Would
you have liked to have seen where they've removed some of the weighting? Would you like to see that the same colour?
I think it's done. I think it's put there to show off what they've possibly done to remove it. I think it's more down that line. Sometimes you got to sort of share with people what you're doing that's slightly different.
Okay.
Come on then, show me a couple of wedge shots out of the bunker and just see if you feel like you can get any more sort of spin out of this club. That's running forward, that one.
Spin, didn't it? And I think that's me, Mark, rather than the club.
That's definitely running. Try and get a little bit of less sand between club face and ball, see if you can get it a little bit more nippy, Bernie.
I'll have to slow my swing down a little bit, else I'll be hitting it slightly thin.
That was a bit more nippier. Any grab there?
Fraction
of grab? Anything different to what you'd normally see out of a wedge?
No, I actually quite like that in the bunker, to be fair.
Do you?
Yeah, I actually prefer it from the sand than I did actually from the grass earlier. But
okay.
Try and play one of.
That didn't stop, did it?
Stop still, no.
So, what are we saying then from the bunker? We're not seeing a great deal of difference out of that, are we?
No.
We're not getting in here and going, oh, that feels very different.
It's not stopping dead or even a couple of bounces and ripping back, is it? It's more landing and sort of releasing slightly, which I'd probably expect from a normal wedge.
Cross-handed chipping, this is putting it to the ultimate test, isn't it? So what do you want to see from such a small little chip shot like this? What do you want to see from it?
I'd like to see the foot have like a little skip forward and then to almost feel like it's stopping.
Yeah.
It's almost a slow down.
Almost stalling it, as it goes to the last little bit towards the flag.
This is uphill as well, so if it's gonna... A little bit thin, that one.
Was it? Yeah, probably more strike than anything else.
Bottom groove, you're not going to get a lot out of it, are you?
Not seeing a great deal of difference in that either.
Nope.
So Leicester not really seeing a great deal of difference out here. I'm just going to head into the studio now, hit a few shots, full shots, and I'm going to compare it to my 54-degree Vokey SM8 wedge and just see what numbers we get from a spin point of view to see if this one's spinning more than my Vokey wedge. Let's go and hit a few balls in the studio. Numbers then, SM8 54 degrees compared to the Smithworks 54 degrees. If we go on to the far left hand side here down the bottom, you can see an average of 85.3 miles per hour off the club face. So that's the ball speed coming off compared to 87 with my SM8. Going over here on the right hand side, going 103 yards with the Smithworks, going 105 yards. So this is me just hitting it normally. If we then look at the launch, 29.1 launch out of the Smithworks compared to 29.5 out of what I'm getting out of my SM8. But spin, this is a key factor, spin. If we look at the Smithworks down the bottom here, 9,647 spin on an average. One got up there at 10,000. If we compare it to the SM8, we've got 9,688. Pretty consistent, jumping up and down from sort of 9.2 to 9.8. But to be honest with you, at the moment the SM8 is spinning just a fraction, what, 30 revs more than what I'm getting out of the Smithworks. So what do you think of those numbers?
I think the numbers back up from the studio what we're actually seeing when we put it into play.
Yeah, on the short game.
Yeah, using the different lies, different surfaces, but I personally visually can't see any difference.
No, I don't think this is a bad wedge. I think this is actually a really good wedge. It feels great, it looks good. I know it's not your sort of cup of tea when you look at the top line, but it looks good, it feels good, and it performs like a normal wedge. It's not the most spinniest wedge I've ever hit. It's not doing
what they're trying to say to me. They're trying to tell me that this is going to spin more.
Yeah.
I personally can't see that. Maybe people of different abilities, it might react differently. And obviously the non-conforming wedge, I'd like to test that at some stage just to see what numbers. But
yeah, I'm not against the wedge.
Not against it. I've got nothing against it. Yeah, it's a good wedge, but is it doing anything more like it says? No, not in my opinion.
So there you go, there's a review of the Smithworks Wedge. Let me know, put your comments down below. Are you using this club? I'd like to hear if you've been out and bought this club and you're seeing a big difference in your wedge game. For us out on the golf course, just chipping around the green here, Lester hitting a few bunker shots, not seeing a great deal of difference from what we currently use. And then if you take it and put it in the studio, again, numbers pretty much exactly the same as what I'm getting out of my current SM8 by Titleist Vokey. Would I use this wedge? Yeah, it wouldn't bother me using this wedge. It looks quite nice looking down on the golf ball. I like the extra bits that they've put on it, getting the grooves out to the edge of the wedge. I really kind of like that look. Is it spinning like they're saying it's going to spin for us, what we've seen? No, it's not. But on that side of it, you might be seeing a slight difference, and to be honest with you, that's half the battle. Getting confidence with your wedges is really, really important. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. As always, stay safe, and we'll catch up with you again soon.